JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, January 15th, 9:01. Oh, CPI Wednesday, I guess you call it. Market futures are soaring after that insane CPI data. Actually, it wasn't insane. It was mostly in line. A tad cooler on the year over year, month over month, year over year data. Uh, but I'll take it, right? Good stuff here. SPY looks like it's going to open right at its 50-day moving average. You look at the 50-day moving average, 592.30. So it's getting close there. What we don't want to see here is the a duplication of what happened yesterday. We want to see the action where we have the big gap up and then a sell go from green to red. Then I put on the watch list this morning. It would be like not a good thing. Most times when you have corrections and bear markets, some of the patterns that you see are reversals, right? It's like on the way up, UPB used to always say it's like trying to dunk a beach ball in the water, right? It always bounces up. On the flip side, it's like every time we get a bounce up and it sells off, it's like the beach ball has lost its air, right? So we'll have to see how this all plays out here today. I also put on watch. It's like shocking. I mean, the markets have one of the best forward-looking mechanisms. So maybe the rise in yields isn't about inflation. Maybe it's about the U.S. debt or things like that. But also as yields go up and the dollar goes up, the amount it costs for the U.S. Treasury to have to finance their debt goes down as well. So it's kind of goes hand in hand. You really don't want rates up, uh, but if the dollar's going up, it kind of negates that. But anyway, rants for other days, but a good sign here this morning. And if we get some continuation, also the banks this morning, all the big ones, Goldman Spectacular, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and BlackRock all posted some strong quarters. BlackRock's over $1,000. I was actually going to put that on the watch list this morning too, but it might be tough to time. If the premiums creep out of some of those calls, I might look to play some calls on BlackRock. I haven't traded BlackRock in quite some time. So that's the overall market. So if it'd be a good sign here if we can at least recoup the 50-day moving average, and then all of a sudden you start to look and be like, oh wow, the market's up for the year, which would seem like just yesterday that wasn't going to happen for a long time. Also with yields, hopefully this is a sign at the top. What the 30-year mortgage rates are at multi-year highs again. So maybe this is the sign that hopefully this is the top for yields. So that's overall. And also, last but not least, I was talking about it yesterday afternoon too. With that strong U.S. dollar, it bodes well for the small cap names, and some of the trends, or at least what you saw yesterday, outside of the Dow components. I mean, Caterpillar, which is rallying again this morning. Some of these names helping propel the Dow to a green close yesterday. Similar, I think the stronger U.S. dollar, the longer this trend continues with the U.S. dollar, the more it bodes well for small caps. But I'm always one who likes to see the small caps rally because some of my favorite names are small caps. But maybe this trend continues. So another thing to watch. So that's that. Again, if markets reverse today and then 582 is the key spot for me. That'd be kind of like the line in the sand. And then I haven't done this in a year or 2 years, but I might put on my bear suit. As crazy as that sounds, uh, not actually put it on, like pretend to put it on, right? So, all right. So and also I put this on watch this morning too. If you take a look, 12 o'clock seems like I wouldn't call it witching hour, but it seems like a trend. Every time we get down to the 12 o'clock hour, the market bounced the last four sessions. So definitely will be a spot to watch. Does that mean all the sellers go out to lunch? Could be. Just maybe just had to just just coincidence that it's the last 12 months, 12 o'clock. All right, so that's that. Uh, all right, awesome. Sorry, I'm just reading the track. All right, so now individual names. First, I'll talk about Adobe here. So I got upgraded this morning by BMP. They had an unperformer rating with $425 price target. I didn't go back to see when they put that price target and rating on, but then they upgraded to neutral today. It was gapping a little bit in the pre-market, and now with the futures soaring, it's helping Adobe. And again, it's such a huge picture. I could see it trading up 440, 450, 460 in the coming weeks. So don't be surprised if it holds its gains in the morning. I look to get some more strikes to play for that move. My call should be a couple 100% at the open, I would think, probably over $1. So I might look to close some of those out at the open just to cover some costs with some profits and ride the rest. But like the pincher setup, similarly, United Rentals, I was writing on the watch list yesterday, and then it announced that acquisition right up at the 200-day moving average. It closed at 729. The 200-day moving average is 728. This has a ways to go. The unfortunate thing, the premiums are nuts. $40 out of the money, you got to pay $1 with 3 days to expiration. I'm not That's not the risk reward I like to take, but definitely a name I'll be watching. Again, I think this backdrop with the Cali fires, there's going to be a lot of resources and companies needed for the reconstruction, right? And when you look at that, all this is going to lead, especially if it's grants and bills from the government funded reconstruction, it just bodes well for some of these names. Sets United Rents. I'll talk about CAT in a second. TripAdvisor back over 15 here in the pre-market. I mean, so disappointing to see it sell off those two sessions, Friday and Monday. No callus, no news. Hopefully, it just gets shook out some of the sellers, so now it could be clear sailing. Still have some January 15, so I'll probably hold on to those for 1550 plus, depending. Still like this story. Nothing's changed. Microsoft. So at the end of the day, yesterday, and I was talking about the U.S. dollar, and on the flip side, the U.S. dollar's net negative for some of these names that have high exposure, 40-50% international sales, percentage of their sales being internationally based. With some of these mega cap names, they have hedges, forex hedges, so the impacts aren't as big. But you saw yesterday, you've seen it with Apple already, but Microsoft, it just showed it's weak. I mean, it's been weak since mid-December when it was 450. I didn't want to be in a spot where I'm caught with my pants down today on a binary event. The S&P was pricing in an over 1% move today, just on today, which, we can see it was actually under pricing the move. So depending what happens here today, I'll just hold those puts. They're going to be destroyed at the open. I'll just hold them as a hedge. And then some other names to watch. MDB, I've been trying to trade that for downside protection for quite some time. And, to me, it looks like it's come down to a point where it's a viable bounce. And you saw Snowflake was rallying yesterday. MDB didn't. I don't know if that's going to be a trend, but I can see MDB bouncing back up to its 50-day and 200-day moving average around 280. So it could be a name I look to get some spec calls on. Roku hopefully breaks over $80 here today. Disappointing, back under its 50-day moving average yesterday. I hope it's a short-lived stay under that 50, and that starts rallying. And then Caterpillar, and probably I should be a little more aggressive adding some positions. That's why I have the spec trade channel. Sometimes I get a little cautious, but I look at Caterpillar and it's sold off all the way down to 350. It had an upgrade, and then you have just this whole backdrop of I mean, I think it just bodes well for the whole sector. So it's up here near 380. I was looking at 385s yesterday. Don't be surprised if I get some 390s today. Exact Science, just totally disappointing. I wish I wasn't staring at the stock when it had its conference at 1:30. I probably wouldn't have chased the calls. Probably a name I won't visit for a little bit until maybe their earnings. And then Bitcoin. So it's, did it break over 100? It's 99,700. I don't really look at the crypto charts per se too much. But I was saying on a watch list on Monday morning, it seems like now over the weekend you kind of look at those. The crypto space is almost like a risk on, risk off environment. So it's up nearly 3%. Hopefully it holds. And then one of these days, it seems like everybody was, most of the bears are ready to start digging the grave for MicroStrategy and Bitcoin once it starts to sell off, because they think it's going to be a snowball effect, right? Once crypto starts selling off, then MicroStrategy is going to sell off, and eventually they're going to have to start selling their Bitcoin holdings, and that's going to make Bitcoin sell off even more. And it'll be one of those self-fulfilling prophecy situations like they tried to do with Tesla, right? But I have to think at some point it's going to start to break to new highs, especially if the gains hold here today. But I always take things with a grain of salt, or try to look at possibilities here and scenarios. I don't give it a high probability reverse here, but I didn't think we'd reverse yesterday. So if I thought, I would have been getting the puts. I'll just watching here today. If we can't hold the gains and we start dipping under 582, then I don't know. I think all bets are off for a lot of the things. And if you take a look at the crypto, it's speculative in nature. So speculative assets are probably, might come under pressure. All right, that's it, folks. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.